I'm Wade Beavers, CEO of DoApp. Been in existence almost 3 years now, knock on wood. We have derived from IBM and Google, which is pretty interesting. Our founder, Joe Shriver, was an early employee at Google. In fact, he was the first UI designer there. And we started in 2008 and decided, what do we want to do? And we looked at the mobile infrastructure and kind of said, mobile is going to be the next computing change. We really think it's going to change the game. So we were excited and decided, let's get in this wild, wild west thing called app development.
So you obviously have a creative team. You have several developers.
Yep.
So I understand you have several apps in the marketplace, and actually many are very popular. Before we get to the engine, which is kind of your bread and butter,
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about your other applications.
Absolutely. When we got started, like everybody else, we didn't know what would stick. I mean, everybody was trying to figure out what kind of app would be the next popular app or whatever it was going to be. We were pretty fortunate that in the infancy of the Apple Store, the Android Store, now the Microsoft Store, we've been early on in all of those, which has been fantastic because we've learned a lot. What we've really learned is the consumption of mobile is growing rapidly, and people have an appetite for a variety of things. So when we started out, we did all kinds of unique apps. One of our first apps was called the My Light flashlight, which initially served as just a static white light, but we had other things in there. We had things like fire truck or police car, which would flash like a police car thing. We had it where we used the accelerometer, and when you move it around, it would actually change colors based upon that. If you're at your next rave, you can use it because it's called tripping. And then we even had a lighter in there where you flick it, and it actually has a real sound of a lighter, and it looks like that. What was amazing was we didn't think anything of it, but we got so much response from people telling us the way they used it. Photographers would tell us they used it as a softbox. People that were radiologists would say, I use the red tint when I'm in there in the x-ray room because I can't use white.
Wow.
We had EMTs telling us they used it at events to call their colleagues over for help. I mean, just all these kinds of stories, so much that we created
Simple applications. Yeah.
We created a website called See the My Light just for people to tell us stories.
Wow, that's great.
So it was really great. So what we learned is, man, this is really going to touch a lot of people. So that stemmed us to do a variety of stuff. We did some games. We have an app called Punchometer, which actually you do an air punch and it truly generates your true G-force, and you can trash talk and communicate with others. And we had one called React that's very similar to Bop It, but uses all the metaphors of the phone. We were just really excited to kind of do a variety of things. Even did some third-party work for Sony and other groups. In fact, when David Cook won the American Idol, our app is what we built for them, called the David Cook Light On app, which was his first song, Light On.
Okay.
So, we were pretty excited just to do a variety of things. And kind of after that, we realized there are certain industries that we kind of felt were important to us, not only in our strengths, but where did we want to be as a company and kind of grow up, so to speak.
So what are your impressions overall of the it's not really a migration, because like you said, it's a net new built effort taking advantage. Yeah. What was your impression of the overall life cycle and the length of time it took to build the new app on the new platform?
Actually, I think it went very well. Again, like I said, we've been part of all the infancies of all the platforms, and we actually said this one was much more mature in the initial get-go than what we've seen from the other ones.
Especially for a first gen.
For a first gen, absolutely. So we saw a lot of that. We saw a lot of great support from Microsoft, which helps.
Okay, great.
I think the key component is it's really not a migration. It's about looking at the phone and the OS and realizing what can we do and maximize it.
Right.
So we had an opportunity to kind of clean slate and say, what would we do differently?
Right.
And so there's some things that we've done. Much cleaner interface, loading times are faster, and that's key.
Yeah.
That's really key on a mobile device, especially when you start talking about 3G networks and things like that. They're just not as fast.
Yeah, exactly.
As 4G comes, that's another opportunity. One of the next things we're rolling out is live streaming. We've already tested some live streaming at some high school hockey games in Minnesota, which has been kind of neat to see. So we're going to see the same thing, with this. Imagine, quickly a reporter anchor could actually even use the phone to do a live newscast.
Absolutely.
To sing back.
Yeah.
So we're excited.
Was there a little bit of taking a couple steps back because Metro was significantly different? Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially because on the iPhone side and the Android side, we actually tried to replicate the experience. But the one thing we learned through that process was you really can't replicate on each phone. You really have to maximize what the OS offers and what they have. And I think that's why we kind of knew that navigational design that we had for the other devices wasn't going to work well with the Windows Phone. The Metro thing actually fits much better. It's very smoother.
Right.
You know, and we had some unique things we added. You know, obviously working with migration.mobi, they did a great job just helping us, you know, make that move and understand that, hey, you know what, this is not a one-to-one. It's really creating from scratch.
Right.
And our designer was excited. He actually loved the phone and loved everything that it offered. So it was
that's
cool.
great. So it was a clean slate for him. That's great.
It was, yeah. He didn't feel like he was just passing it over. He felt like he could actually go and say, you know, some of the things that we didn't do well in the other ones, we can do better here.
Well, least but not least, let's demo.
Great. All right, looking at the application, we really love the Metro look. I mean, it's just smooth with all these categories. And all these categories, what's amazing is they're dynamic. That's what's really kind of cool about the whole thing. They can go in right now and add another category, and it's going to show up within the app within 5 minutes. Very smooth. You have your sub-navigation and your top-level navigation. I actually love this about the Metro look because it's very smooth when you come in, very clean, and I know that it gives you about half that word, so you know you can swipe through quickly with each one of these categories. I mean, it's just amazing, the feel, the fluidity of it. It's just you know, phenomenal. The other thing that we liked about this, we had a real restriction in our design of our other apps, which is the fact that the names, if they were too long on our back end, they truncated. But with the Metro look, it didn't matter. They sized and went all the way across. So you could have a term like entertainment and actually go all the way across instead of it being entertainment and it's, you know, hung over somewhere. So again, you entertainment, you got your subcategory, you hit news. Now it shows your sub-navigation. To simply get back to the main navigation, just hit one button, which is really slick. But now I've got all my news articles. It loads. If there's a photo available for it, you easily just swipe through it, which is great. Read an article. Comes in and loads up. What's really cool is after it loads up, very smooth, you can go ahead and hit share via email, text, Twitter, or Facebook. So the whole social piece is really, really important. So I'm going to go ahead and hit back. You know, you can swipe through each category as you're going through, which is really nice because we didn't have that on the other devices that we've developed. So, I mean, we've really seen some added bonus that we've got here, you know, with these articles. So very, very smooth. And again, like I said, just to get back, it's very simple. I hit that back button, and I'm back into news. And I can go back even further and go back into those main categories. Again, horoscopes, info, traffic. You can look at your traffic view, which is really slick.
We're running on a very slow
server out here, yeah.
Connection.
Yeah, I'm sure we're inside of a building, so it's not a big deal.
Where the Chicago Tower is.
Yep.
It's not the best reception.
But you know what's amazing? Actually, that's loading fairly fast for being
itself,
for itself. So, and you can pinch and zoom in and zoom out, which is great. So, you know, we're actually looking at integrating the Bing Maps. Like I had talked earlier, I'm really happy with what we're doing with weather. That we're going to have some weather radar around the Bing Maps thing, which is really, really slick. The overlays. I'm going to go ahead and hit back and move back to the main category. So again, you've got, you know, traffic news. Go back to the. You'll see here. Whoop, sorry about that. A nice load that comes in. What's really cool is actually you've got weather in the top right quickly, so you'll find your weather piece. It looks like you probably have your geolocation turned off right now. But if you had it on, it would actually know that we were in Chicago. Yeah, it provides both. Yep, which is great. Yeah, because it asks you. We always want to ask that question. So it's got webcasts, you know, sports. Again, all these are dynamic, so every news property gets their own custom branded component. Then we have ads, obviously, at the bottom that rotate in, which is great. So you got simple text ads, and then we'll have the geolocated ads. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, yeah, horoscopes. Again, all these categories are dynamic, but I mean, you know, it's really important is, you know, you have video, you have entertainment. Yeah, horoscopes today, which is great, so they can load it in. The other thing that was kind of cool is this background is all dynamic color change that we can do on our back end in real time, which is way cool. So, again, you can read your horoscope. They give you today's, yesterday's, and again, what's really cool about it, you can share that stuff, that viral component. We have really found that with our research that we have, or our data that we've collected so far, it's amazing how many stories are actually shared. You know, I would have thought it would have been like less than 1%. we're actually seeing anywhere from 5 to 8% of all stories are being shared in some form, whether Twitter, Facebook. So anyway, that's really it. The simplicity of it is that.